We've all heard the stories. A new film comes out and by all accounts, it's a hit, with the trades recording record numbers at the box offices. Yet somehow at the end of the year when tax season comes, the studios still record a loss. One of the many plays in the Hollywood accounting playbook are production incentives. Tax credits generated by a healthy film industry that individual taxpayers can use to offset their tax liability, if they know where to look.
I'm Christy Clabaugh, co-founder of Element CPAs.
And I'm John Thomas, co-founder of Element. Our goal is to help shepherd producers through the grueling process of shooting and earning a tax incentive across the nation.
Today, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, which offers one of the most attractive production incentives in the country for both indies and majors alike. It's a great place to give an example of how these production incentives work and how individual taxpayers can use them to their advantage.
The film incentive starts with a minimum requirement for a $500,000 spend. So if you come into the state of Georgia and you meet the qualified expenditures starting at $500,000, you are eligible for a 30% tax credit.
The film production incentive is pretty liberal in terms of what can qualify, as long as you meet the pretty rigorous documentation requirements.
Maximizing the tax credit. That's what we're talking about here. When studios and producers are trying to identify a place to film, they're not just looking at the sticker price of the tax credit, or in some cases rebate, but they're also looking at what access they'll have to qualified expenses, or production costs that will count toward the total amount they'll get back in the form of a credit. But what does that have to do with you?
You know, since these producers are generally from out of state, they don't have a large enough tax liability in the state of Georgia to use the credit themselves, so nearly everyone sells the tax credit on an open market.
To make use of their full credit, productions typically have to sell them on the marketplace where they're subject to supply and demand. Depending on when they're sold, they could go for anywhere from 80 to 95% of their actual value. What that means for you is that there are tax credits out there that could potentially offset your state tax liability by anywhere from 5 to 15% if you live in one of these states with a production incentive. But as always, there's a catch.
So there's a brokerage process that's involved when productions want to transfer their credits. Their brokering of your credits is all dependent on relationships.
In Georgia and other states with similar incentive programs, the credit is technically transferable to any individual or business. But brokers typically won't bother to help you access them unless you owe at least $10,000 in state taxes in a given year. However, if you find a CPA in the know or a local producer, they can bypass the broker and help you access these credits directly. And more CPAs like Element are seeing the value of making these tax credits accessible for individuals, and they're spreading their knowledge to their interstate colleagues to make them available to people who earn less income.
I think the more that we all work together and share best practices and give honest feedback in all locations that have incentives and that might be looking to it to make their own incentive, that's the direction for the future, and that's something that we need to keep moving toward.
Turns out Hollywood accounting isn't just for those cigar-smoking execs with their leather-bound books, mahogany desks, and Sex Panther colognes.
It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good. It's quite pungent.
You too can reach out to a CPA firm like Element who's in the know and access these credits yourselves. And for those business owners and state politicians out there, we need your support to continue keeping these production incentives healthy, to make them more and more accessible to individual taxpayers, and to keep creating a win-win for everyone inside and outside of the industry.